Man, like what a night last night. I swear, knowing how exhausted I was from last night, I completely forgot that I had to stream today. Last night in my apartment, the smoke detector, it just kept going and going and going. I can tell you, I only got like 2, 3 hours of sleep because it just kept ringing. I'm not sure if anybody could suddenly sleep in a random smoke detector, right? That was my night last night. And then I have a trip coming up. I two of them actually. One's in July, and the other one is in on the 18th. And many creators are going to be there. And I'm like still lost with what this trip is about. I'm still trying to get at the idea of it, but we'll save that for later. It's coming on the 18th. You will guys will see photos, and you will also see other creators being there. So honestly, I know I got many questions from local Americans who are my best friends, like who I talk to literally every day of my life for the past 10 years, and they would ask me, say, like, "You, what do you think of the Sharia law thing?" And I'm about to show you her statement to Bushra, which I swear, hypocrisy is just in, ain't it? When it comes to speaking the truth, saying facts, people just don't want to do those things, do they? So, like, before I start the show, and I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to come enter the room before I start the documentary. So, Sharia law. When people ask me, like, what about the culture thing? Well, let me tell you something. When I see these mullahs talk online, everybody had a culture, okay? Syrians had a culture, Libyans have a culture, everything. Before the nationalist movement, the military nationalist movement, which is how Nigeria got destroyed, the Congo military, and all these organizations kind of wiped out the culture. Everybody had a culture. Okay, for example, I say this to many of my friends that my faith does not have anything to do with my culture. For example, me and a couple of Jewish people talk all the time too, and sometimes they even educate me for a change, who are much older and wiser, right? So, for example, if a Jew reads the Torah and goes to prayer and wrap their strips and wear the hats or whatever they wear, right? That's their faith. Indian Jew is not going to be same as an Israeli Jew, or for faith it is because it's Jewish. But for culture, it's going to take the Indian culture with it because it's an Indian Jew. Same for the Persian Jew, same for the Muslim. So if I'm a Muslim, I'm using myself as an example. If I'm a Muslim from South Asia, right? I'm a Islam would be my practice or faith or whatever it is, and my culture would be from South Asian culture. If a Christian is raised over there, it's going to be considered a South Asian Christian from Hinduism culture and all those fancy cultures from South Asia. Middle East Christians are going to be more of Arab culture and Jewish culture. And American Christians, mostly local ones, are going to be American culture, of course, somewhat a little bit from past of Europe, but that's another day of talk. So see how this matters. So when I see people talk, it really amazes me. I just go blank in front of them, really. Like when people say, "Oh, you hate Islam," and this, like that. Oh, when I want to ask them about hypocrisy, what I want to ask this girl, why can't somebody answer me? I'll never understand that. Never. Okay, so if you are a Muslim from the UK, your culture is from the UK. Your faith is this. That burqa thingy, that is not your culture. That is supposed to be, first of all, it's not even in the Quran. Secondly, when you go to pray, the max you wear is a hijab or a abaya. I mean, some people wear hijab on their pants. Like, okay, I've seen people do those things, wear nice, like, hijabs and wear, like, sometimes a headpiece and wear a pair of jeans and nice shirts. I've seen people dress like that in school, and you think for a minute, where'd that fashion come from? It's hijab fashion. Like, hey, they wear a hijab and they wear earrings and they wear, like, nice t-shirts and nice jeans. But people don't really know those things. So it's like, okay, either I'm not told enough or people haven't heard enough. That's how I see it. I mean, I met a hijabi Muslim, and I think she was from Europe or Egypt, one of those places, right? And she was really white, really white. and she all her girls will wear hijab, but the younger sister stopped wearing hijab after some time, and she became more modernized, which is nothing wrong with it. They're all still Muslims and love each other. They're sisters and the mother of a beautiful Egyptian lady. So one day I'm in the supermarket and I look at her and I'm like, she looks like that, but her girls look like that. Did I miss something? Like, how come she looks like that and the girls look like that? But it's all, I said this before, it's all on preferences. So when I see these radical idiots making fun of Muslims just for dancing and what they're wearing, they clearly have an identity disorder problem, because half of the stuff they preach, it's not in the book itself, and it doesn't say you have to forcefully wear it. That's man play. Something I told a lot of educated Muslims, like, okay, when you have education, funding a school requires money. Raising a girl requires money. And if everybody gets along in the country, what are these idiots going to make? Their whole narrative and purpose is over. The purpose of them is using their people for money. Money. Without the people being sabotaged, they're not making any money. And that's their way of life. Now, if you just, before I start the video, if you notice today, Syria, whatever it is, I'm not saying the leader is perfect. I never said any of those things, that that Al-Jalani guy, whatever he is, he's perfect. I never said he's perfect. But the change, like when people dancing and the stuff you see them dress and things like, haven't you noticed how many radical preachers are moping online? Hey, they're becoming so westernized. They're becoming so disliked. That's not Muslims. That's a Western person. No, just use that computer, type it in there, look it up. What were Syrians like before the national movement, which would be the military movement, and it'll show you their dressing. It will show you the Afghans dressing before the military national movement. It will also show you Nigeria's dressing before the national Congo military movement. All this stuff, it's there. But these leaders, they don't want to show that stuff, because when people find out this truth, they're out of business. So let's start. And I'm going to show you what he said. And boy, some of the stuff that she said, it set me on fire. When I'm female, come on, dude. Be straight up. Enough with the lies already on Twitter. But get to the point. Why do you support hypocrisy? I will never understand why do Muslims support hypocrisy in the Muslim world. I hate it. But let's get to it. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, share. And here we go. We're going to check it out. Let's go to it. And let's see what she said. Boy, I can't stand her hypocrisy, but here we go.
Think Tank says that a fear of Islamophobia is stifling debate about religious dress across the UK. So according to Policy Exchange, freedom to discuss Islamic headscarves and face coverings is being denied by Islamist groups. It's a women's rights issue, it's a free speech issue, it's a multiculturalism issue, an integration issue, I suppose. Joining me now to talk about all of this is political commentator Bushra Sheikh. Bushra, thank you very, very much. Okay, so do Islamist groups in Britain weaponise Islamophobia as a way of stopping criticism about the burqa or the niqab or the hijab or whatever?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I'm just going to this policy exchange report. I think it's entirely inaccurate. Look, at the end of the day, Patrick, I think everybody's entitled to criticize a religion, whether that be Islam or any other. The point is, we cannot forget that there is clear Islamophobia that exists in Great Britain. In fact, I'd even go to the extent to say that people are dishonourable because they actually do not come forward and say, I just do not like Islam. That's the truth.
Freeze! Mercy of God. Freeze! Freeze! If she was in front of me, I smack her. Freeze. Okay. Let's go to the basics. If you dress up like that in UK every day of your damn freaking life, you wear makeup, you wear cultures. So if you are okay with yourself wearing that, why are you not supporting other people the same way? You, as a Muslim, you should be saying that, no, this stuff that's being preached, it should be only suitable to Muslims, not Christians, not Jews, not Hindus, nobody like that. Her as a Muslim, she should be asking all preachers that, hey, it should be a Muslim's choice how she dressed, like what she looks like. This should not apply to Jews and Christians. So like for hers to say, oh, you hate Islam, but buddy, what the f is happening? Do you not see that? I see that when I live in America, and my head goes on fire when I listen to her. Like, do you honestly not understand? How could you not see what the hell is happening? How could you not see it? How could you not see it? I mean, I go blank in front of her so many times. Like, how could you not see it? Do you not see what everybody's doing? If you're a Muslim, this shit only applies to you. It doesn't apply to that person. It doesn't apply to atheist person. It doesn't apply to a Jewish person. It doesn't apply to a Christian person. It applies to you. Now, if you're not going to say anything and keep your big mouth shut, act like a moron, of course everybody's going to hate religion. Tell me one reason why would they like it. Is your big mouth shut? Is your big mouth not talking? That, hey, this only applies to me. Preachers shouldn't target them. Preachers should target me. If I want to wear it, that is up to me. If I want to make a change, that is up to me. If I want to wear the burqa, when that's not allowed in the Quran, that should be only up to the Muslims. It should only apply to the Muslims. Why the heck are you making it into a national announcement as if we live in an Arabic country when that is not true? Not true. We follow this culture. You wear pants every day. You make your hair every day. You wear makeup every day. That's not the culture you follow. If you live in South Asia, you follow Indian culture, you follow Nepal culture, you follow the Bangladeshi culture, all the countries in the South Asia mixed together. You follow that country culture. Culture, that is your culture. Faith is the book. This book, the Quran that people read every, that's your faith. That is not your culture. Arabs and Jews come from the Middle East culture. Yes, Arabs have a civilization. Jews have a civilization. They all have their separate preferences. That is the Middle East culture, either Arabian or Jewish. That is not South Asian culture. And yes, Jews lived everywhere, all over the south, east, west, north, south, whatever. They lived everywhere. But your culture is where you stay. So this is where, if she was in front of me, please forgive me. I just want to scream. She is so effing wrong.
Well, we are finding that. But firstly, Islamophobia does exist. And as Muslims, we are open to critique. It's just the way people come at it. They don't come to us sincerely.
It's interesting because I'm looking at what...
Sincerely. Sincerely. Let's talk about sincerely. From Saddam Hussein's days all the way up till now. Sincerely. Sincerely. Let's talk about the Taliban days till now. How many women have been sabotaged, prisoned, abused? Sincerity. And instead of calling these idiots out, we are sitting here arguing with the people that has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do, Islam has nothing to do with this. Jews and Christians. It's not our place. It is not our place to even just say one thing. Oh, how do you feel about our religion? No! Your first priority should be in the Muslim world, in sincerity. Let me tell you sincerity. Which Muslim, in like hypocrites right here, called out ISIS? Which Muslim called out the military organizations that have been killing people in Nigeria, Congo, military organization? Hamas, military organization. ISIS, military organization. And Al-Qaeda, military organization. Ayatollahs, IRGC, military organizations. Hezbollah, military organization. We can go on and on and on. Tell me, who have we called out that been not just harming Jews and Christians, but also us? And you want to talk about sincerity? Ridiculous. Sincerity. Really.
Muslim Council of Britain have put out in response to this report, right? I'm just reading the headline now. Policy Exchange publishes misogynist report by playing up Islamophobia. With respect, is it not quite misogynistic to make a woman wear a full headscarf and veil?
Well, look, is it misogynistic to make anybody wear anything? Yes. You know, that's That's force. I don't think any woman or man should be forced to do something that they don't want to do.
Really? Really, I just want to laugh what she's saying. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to keep my patience with her behavior. I'm just trying to keep my best behavior watching this with you guys before I lose it. Behavior enforced. Ma'am, when in the last 3-4 years, you being a UK activist, have you said anything for the ladies in the Taliban suffering, knowing you took the UK education, you went to a college, and you dress up like that on media? I'm pretty sure the Taliban women in Afghanistan would like to look at some point of their life, shine in the light by their identity, in pretty much everything. Enforcement. You never talked about that enforcement. You never talked about how Iranian women in Iran, they would like to wear at least a shalwar kameez. Screw up pants for a minute. Just a simple shalwar kameez and earrings and bangles. I'm sure they would like to do those things. Or another type of cultural dress from like places of Iraq or Arabian culture or even Persian culture. Just a dress. The internet has it. I'm sure they would really like to wear those things, do a photo shoot in those things. And you are sitting here, you're going to tell me, oh, it's not supposed to be enforced, but your big mouth never said anything. It still never says anything. So what? Rubbish. Like, seriously, I insist anybody in the UK listening to me, the day somebody gets her off the throne in this seat, I'm going to be the first one cheering out of the content room. Yes, me as a Muslim, I'm going to be cheering my butt off. I'm going to be cheering my butt off like hell because I can't stand this woman. How she just sits there, watches our females die, and she puts the blames on other people than the crime of her own. These people are in our field who's doing this shit. And you ain't got nothing to say? Come on, lady.
We should have the freedom for people to make the choices. At the end of the day, you can look at it at both spectrums. Where do we come in policing the way women choose to dress? This is the actual question. And the truth is, in Great Britain, in fact, people hide behind their own Islamophobia. They're not saying we don't like the hijab because we dislike Islam. You see, so you can't have it both ways. You have to decide, what is your problem with the hijab? What is your problem with any religious attire?
I'll tell you what is the problem. If I'm wearing a hijab and I've been friends with someone for 10 years, whether it's a Christian or someone Jewish, and I'm just using that as an example because I've seen these experiences before. It's always a failure, right? That's why I'm probably one of those people who never did these relationships. It was a lifetime lesson for me. And I pretty much stepped away from this club forever. It's not going to be me as I retire and pretty much get old. I'm never going to step into this club. My first experience was my last experience. I was naive and I didn't know much. So a friend of mine from high school, she left her parents, right? I don't really share this too much, especially in today's society. I've learned a lot, which is why when some of my friends ask me, like, if I date a Muslim guy, do I have to convert or do I have to do anything? All I tell her is that as long as he's not religious or not enforceful, then it should be fine. And no, I always tell her as a Mexican that no, please keep your Mexican standards. You don't deserve to lose those. God gave you those. If he's willing to respect that, that is fine, because that's how my cousins got married to a Christian. But this experience I had with a friend, it taught me a lot. We never spoke again, but it also taught me a lesson. She didn't have a good relationship with her parents, and she came to my mom. And my mom was nervous that how can we just keep her in the house? So I fought to keep her just to keep her anyway. I kept her for 2 years in my house as a non-Muslim in the house, right? Like nobody keeps you for 2 years that long, right? I'm not just any family without you don't have an establishment, you don't have a job, and what are you going to do, right? So I kept her anyway. So she had a Muslim boyfriend, and then she dated a couple of Muslim men. And then she met some other friends who are part of her school. And then one day, she comes to me. I didn't even tell her to wear this stuff. She just comes to me one day and I ask her, why are did you turn hijabi or something like that? I'm like, what happened to you? And where have you been saying, did you turn hijabi or something? And she's like, no, I like it and I wanted to wear it or something like that. So that taught me a lesson. Okay, but when things started to mess up for her and she didn't understand anything, and like people criticized her for it, that's when she missed being like, a Christian again, because she found a Christian boyfriend again and they've been together since. So like it taught me that you can never enforce people to do almost anything. If they're okay with it, that's fine. Let them wear it. If they're not okay with it, don't enforce it, because even the strongest of strongest friendships can break up due to religion teachings. If you can't even do it on family members, man. Friends are way far. You can't even do this to like simple family members, that you can enforce your cousin what to believe and what not to believe, who to date and who not to date. So that taught me that when it comes to friends asking me about religion and who to date, I just give them one simple answer, like, okay, if you're okay with your date and he's not putting any enforcement or pressure on you, then you should be fine. And I'm like, just keep your standards as Mexican. And if you feel comfortable with everything, good for you. That's all I say. No further than that, because that's how it should be. That's how it should be. If you're seeing people being enforced, like, oh no, you just have to wear it and this is what it's about, but you're not wearing it, then that's double standard and hypocrisy, dude. Nobody's going to listen to that. And then they're going to pretty much look at you in a racial format way, that, hey, you guys are racist and this, and pretty much come to the point, hello life for so many years, insult religion, which is pretty much happening. And what can I say? Facts hurt, and flaws, if you don't fix it, they pay in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I think there is a certain irony, which I do think will be lost on the Muslim Council of Britain, if people don't mind me saying, which is that the Policy Exchange report is talking about whether or not members of the Islamic community sometimes call Islamophobia, as opposed to maybe addressing some of the issues, if indeed there are any, within their own community. The Policy Exchange has published yet another report deploying dog whistle Islamophobia, this time by encroaching on the fundamental religious freedoms of Muslim women. Are they not proving the point there, really? Policy Exchange talking about, a rush to maybe...
Okay, let me say how this term and why people don't believe in it in today's society in like 2026. I don't blame them. If I'm trying to think of the best example how I can describe this into wording. If Muslims have a mic, today's Muslims are terrible. If they have a mic and they feel that the Constitution needs to be wiped out, which is what these radical nationalists teach from, I would say, from 1979, after times of Saddam Hussein, till now. Imagine how many narratives have been launched. Saddam Hussein, Ayatollahs, the Congos, and all these other radical militant groups. How many books have they launched? How many ideologies have they launched? Because even in the Muslim world, not just the Western world, even in the Muslim world, places like Iraq before Prince Faisal died, or the Shah monarchists, the Pahlavis, these national extremist organizations didn't like a democracy. So if they didn't like a democracy, then obviously they're not going to like it in the Western world either. So this is one thing I'm against. If you are in this culture, yes, if they're giving you halal, they're giving you a mosque, they let you do your events at home, you are more than good enough. You do not get to invade, make the Constitution Islamic law, whatever, okay? And as of experience, because the reason why I would say it's better off in the Arab countries until people actually follow the Sharia terms, it's a divide. How the Saudi Arabia follows it, how UAE follows it, versus how the Ayatollah follows it. They gave some rights to the women. Ayatollahs have not given any rights to the women. Syria is starting now in 2026. So if your own world is not even fixed up yet, what the hell are you doing here in the Americans' world telling them what is supposed to be? Your own little world is not even fixed up yet. Some of the Muslims, we want this stuff fixed up in our lifetime so we can see what the lands are like for a better living than to stay here all our life. Even though I'm born here, but some point of life, I would like to see other Muslim countries. But, so Islamophobia is only phobia if you do not accept your crime. If you are supporting the crime, then it's not phobia. That's just hypocrisy. It's not homophobia at all. You support by terminating rights of the other people, and you want the other people to follow the same thing. When it doesn't apply to them, it applies to you first. Then what Islamophobia are you talking about? What Islamophobia are you talking about? I really want to know. What? I'm trying to have understanding here. What if you want people to follow the same damn rules that doesn't really apply to them? It is mainly for you, and then in one direction you apply to Islamophobia. No, those rules are for you. Then it's not Islamophobia anymore. It's hypocrisy. That's what I disagree with. She's wrong. No, it's not Islamophobia. If you are going to encourage your damn rules on everybody else, it's not Islamophobia anymore. You're just being a hypocrite.
All things Islamophobic is a way of stifling debate about a variety of different things in the Muslim community, and then that report being called Islamophobic by the Muslim Council of Britain.
Patrick, I think the Muslim Council of Britain have a fair point to make, because the policy exchange reports often only highlight and target the Muslim community. I generally believe that there is an out of context discussion happening here. What might be happening globally, in the world is very different.
Let me help you. Let me fix you there. If I was in hers, I would ask my country as a UK Muslim, the only one, even though she's an ex, but I do respect her for doing the right thing for once, even though she's an ex-Muslim now. Your first priority would be ask your citizens that why are Muslims being violent? I don't support violence under my name. Why are Muslims going around acting like animals and making us normal Muslims look like we're from a third world when we're not? We just live an ordinary life just like Christians do and Jews do. We just do our thing, mind our own business and go home, do our grocery shopping, pay our bills, pay our taxes, go home. But this case, and you're sitting over there, you're watching people get beaten up for the Palestinian cause. You're watching people get stabbed. You're preaching in a country about Iran, who's literally preaches it hates democracy, and you live in a democracy country, and you're gonna sit there and state that? Like, seriously, man? Hate suits them right. I'm sorry, Muslims. If you are listening to me and you are not going to support the country you live in, and you are not going to support its standards and support the country who's trying to make fun of where you actually live, which is, I say it loud and proud, that no, if anybody is listening to me from the UAE, I felt UAE was right. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Indian. I'm not Bengali. I'm not from Iran. I'm not Mexican. I'm none of those. I am Pakistani due to my parents, but I'm born in America. And no, I feel UAE was right. If half of the Pakistanis live in the UAE, and if there's any Saudis who's living there, what are you doing raising your voices for the country that is attacking? And you want the country that's keeping you, giving you a future to keep you for supporting his enemy? If my dad saw that in my local house, some person supporting who's cursing my father out, like my father out, who's the homeowner, my dad would kick him out the door, like, get out of my house. That's the same thing here. Same thing here. Why would you do that in another country? So same for her. You live in a democracy country. What are you doing in a democracy country and supporting the country that is against in democracy? That's double standards, dude. No, she's an idiot and a liar. I disagree to the fullest level. And anybody UK listening to me, get her fired, dude. Get her kicked out. Please get her kicked out.
But to what's happening here on the ground in Great Britain, they've mentioned things like having something like World Hijab Day isn't conducive to what's going on in Iran. To me, that's absolutely nonsensical. That's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense to say that, because in the UK, we're a very good example of allowing women to dress how they want. We should be the example to the small minority of countries who still do.
Really? But you haven't said the same thing for the Iranian women. If you live in this culture, you follow this culture, and you know this culture has given you wear what you like, why don't you speak the same way for other females in your club? That's my lifetime question to these idiotic Muslims. They have double standards, they have an ecosystem, and they have a problem facing Muslims like us that I'm talking on media right now. If you know a country has given you all this stuff, What the heck are you doing, not speaking up and demanding for the same people who's suffering the Taliban, suffering the Ayatollahs, suffering Nigeria's storm in front of that stupid Congo military organization? Females have no freedom there either. So if you know a country is giving you, what are you sitting here not preaching it, but telling other people, like, I feel like this? Right now, she looks like a hypocrite in front of camera, and fake as hell in front of camera. I have so many questions. I want to debate her in public, and she seems fake as hell.
Enforce the hijab rule on women.
Are there not elements of the British Muslim community?
Hijab rule. How many times have you supported the Iranian women being enforced in it? Instead, you're supporting Iran itself by saying, oh, Iran is so wonderful. Iran is so wonderful. How about speaking for the Iranian women who do not want to wear the costume anymore, that you get to be free all your life? You know, I've seen Bushra in 2023. And I never used to listen to her stuff. I never seen any interest, even though some of my leftist friends were like on the Palestinian side, found her as like a hero or something. But something about her, whenever I would see her, it would always bore me. I'm like, nah, I'm not listening. But when I got deep, just gave my instincts a chance and actually just listened, like, okay, all I'm gonna say, every time I listen, my soul went on fire when I listened to her. And I'm trying to control my temper just watching her statements. I'm on fire right now. I'm trying to control my temper. We hold very patiently for what she's saying. But seriously, dude, that much double standard and that much good looks on camera without supporting the facts, how you actually act in reality. You didn't stop for the Taliban women who's getting murdered every day. They don't get to go to school. They don't get to do almost anything. Same for the ladies in front of the Ayatollahs. And here you are saying on camera, oh, you know, it should not be enforced on people. Okay, why the hell are you not telling your own people to stop? My lifetime question, and this shit, it drives me freaking crazy. Like, seriously, man, it just feel like you want to slap somebody on camera, like, you are such a liar. And you're me? Hell nah. Somebody just get rid of her, please.
You see, where if you were a woman wanting to free yourself from not particularly wanting to wear the hijab or the burqa or whatever, where you would get a huge amount of pushback on that. And is that not what maybe it's trying to highlight here, that perhaps not everybody who does wear those items of clothing wants to wear those items of clothing, but feels as though they can't not?
Look, ultimately, the way that things used to be, I'd say go back as far as the 80s, things are certainly not like that within the Muslim community. They used to be, but they're not. And this is because there is a good level of information and education out there. So for all of those people that are still doing that, there are a small group. You know, again, this is a very polarizing discussion. It's not happening.
Let me tell you why it's a polarized discussion, because Muslims like me, Miss Iraqi, Lawi Ashraf, he may not like the Pakistani, is fine, but he's somewhat on the same road. Anila, we do not like this thing in our world. We call Rihanna, the famous supporter, I know Dr. Huda's listening. We do not like this in our society. It's disgusting. Look at the Taliban. Look at the Ayatollahs. Look at the Saddam Hussein invasion, all the leaders who came after that, after Saddam Hussein and Qasem. It really doesn't matter anymore whether they Shia or Sunni. They were just national extremist crooks, okay? And they banned all the rights for women. They banned rights for the citizens. And now when stuff is coming into the light, they're finding new ways to terminate sources. So people don't figure out the game. But one thing my mother-in-law said, and it's loud and clear. She told me eventually the truth can be hidden. It will come into the light. It will come into the light because she called them crooks since day one. She was in her early 30s. She would always call them crooks. And now she curses at them too, that one day America's just going to fix everything. And I don't care if America buys Pakistan, because she feels that Pakistan needs to also fix itself and move away from these crooks and work on its people. The only people who have worked some way, who made it this far, UAE did it, Saudi Arabia did it, and Qatar did work on its people. There's no violence there. If they may not make peace with Israel yet, UAE has. Jordan is okay with Israel too, but that does not mean that the country's in a bad crew. But places like where you have to, you're forced to wear stuff like this and Muslims don't expose it out, that just shows you being a pant, a blouse, nice jewelry, you just support your hypocrisy. This is Muslim hypocrisy. Just to support your religion, then the flaws, and you need to be talking about the flaws. And this is what I was saying this morning to a guy who was talking to me, that if my child gets old, never underestimate that, feel like Muslims never did anything wrong. Muslims have also did flaws. And the most disgusting flaws in human history is when Qasim and Saddam Hussein and all those national extremist organizations took over, killed the monarchists who were Muslims, and just made their own ideology and rip off the country. And it's the story has been continuing all the way up to 2026, that monarchists can't rule, us national extremists need to rule. So imagine how many freedom rights they have taken throughout the years. It's 2026. It's not 1990s anymore. Imagine how much shit they launched. Imagine how much ideologies they have launched. And you're going to sit there and tell me that, we have mistakes before. Let me ask you this. What is fixed? I would love to know that. What the hell is fixed in our world? I'm demanding to know that medicine in 2026. What the hell is fixed? What? And clear answer is nothing.
In the majority of Muslim families in Great Britain anymore, women are choosing for themselves, and the ones that are still doing that, there are lots of spaces that young women can go to say that this is happening to me. And this isn't just with the hijab. Women are being ostracized and persecuted in various different ways within their own personal family circumstances as well. So this isn't just isolated to the head.
Really? Where the hell was your voice for the past 20 years? It's just funny that you're talking shit on camera, but you have nothing to say when Muslims like us ask you, does your voice not pop? We're popping. We're screaming. Being judged. We've been called Jewish. We've been called Indian. We've been called Bangladeshi. We've been called Mexican. We've been called Christian. We've been called almost anything different from a Muslim you could possibly think of, where we had to yell our butts off that, no, we are Muslims and we do not support this shit. This does not apply to Jews. This does not apply to Christians. And if you support it, you're a hypocrite, because it's the truth. It doesn't. Stop supporting those who are enforcing this shit to them. It is not for them. It's for us. And if something you don't like it, you talk about it. Debate with the Muslims, as in me. But they don't want to face Muslims like me and all these hypocritical double standard like Daniel, Bushra, Muhammad Hijab. They're never going to debate Muslims like us. They hate us. They hate us because we are going to expose their freaking face, which is fake as hell, but the truth is going to bite.
Do you think that there is a general fear of being called Islamophobic, and that at times prevents quite legitimate criticism about integration amongst the Muslim communities at times?
I think so. I think the first thing is, I think people have to genuinely come to the discussion sincerely. I think the reason why there is a certain level of pushback within the Muslim community in saying this is Islamophobic is because we genuinely feel that. Look, Patrick, I myself have been at the receiving end of Islamophobia. And let me tell you, when I used to wear a hijab, the amount of hate that I received in comparison to now is zero. I've had incidents where I've had my car spat at with my children in it because I was wearing a hijab, and that has not happened to me since taking it off.
Why did you?
That is interesting, because I've seen Muslims wear hijab in early 1990s. In fact, my cousins didn't wear hijab till their much later ages. Like in their early 30s, they would show off their hair, anything you could possibly think of. And my mother is like, what? She does namaz, and she does the Quran and all her fasting and things like that, even tasbih, right? But she does not wear hijab, and the only one who does is her younger sister. So I've seen people wear a hijab in America, the certain schools I went to. Even when I moved to Texas, the girls that I hung out with, one or two did wear hijab. Some of them actually, when I moved to Texas, I learned something completely different compared to the schools I went to in New York. Here, I've seen a lot of the Muslim girls be more like Western style clothes, like shorts, tank tops, and things like that. I would see them wear, and it sounds like they clearly did not have a problem with it. Now, if these radical organizations saw them, they would be like, "Oh, you're a Christian, you're not a Muslim, this, that." But I asked my mom, like, what type of Muslim are they? And she told me they're mostly Ismaili Muslims. And Ismailis, like when I went to their weddings, they had like sleeveless dresses on and blouses that are up to here where you could also show your belly and stuff like that. But 90% Ismaili like dressings over here was like that, and I've learned that the hard way. So okay, maybe they're a little bit different from us and their traditions are very different from us. I learned that the hard way because 90%, like me and one or two friends of mine who are Sunni, I'm friends with Shias too, I'm not saying I'm not, but we were only invited to the Mehndi ceremony. We were not invited to the main ceremony. Only the Shia girls were. But in high school, the Aga Khan specialists, they did wear specific clothes like that. And that's when my mom told me that, no, they're a little bit different from us and things like that. She's like, you can be friends with them, but we don't follow their traditions. I'm like, oh, but when I was in New York, all the way up to like middle school and high school, when I shifted to South Colony, I would see so many girls wear hijabs to school. I remember when I got sick in the middle of the year after 6th grade, I was homeschooled for like 2-3 years because of some epileptic issue I had. So my friend, both of them would wear a hijab and they would come see me at home while I was homeschooled because I was physically sick. I couldn't get up. So 3 years I spent like that, and they were hijabi girls and they came to my house to see me. Then when I finally entered school in like, I would say 9th or 10th grade, I started walking again and I entered school and I saw them. And the other one, it turned out she moved. But then the other one who I was friends for a long time, one was Irish, a Christian was Irish. And she would always hang out with that girl all the time. Even in 2026, they're best friends. That she wears a hijab, and the Irish Christian who married a nice man, have 2 kids, I believe, today. They've been best friends since the high school days. So many girls have worn the hijab. But the abaya, that's the change as a Muslim I'm seeing in America increase. I'm saying it as of experience. Hijab I have seen, but the abaya wear, I am a little bit concerned due to the war, how it's increasing. That's fully new in America. We do not wear abayas like to Walmart, and we do not wear 24/7 abayas to almost a grocery store. That, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a new observation from my experience from high school till now. Hijab I saw, I haven't seen Muslims dressed in Western clothes, but the abaya and how it's increasing in stores. Yesterday I was going to Kroger, right? I always buy coffee 2-3 times a week from Kroger from my friend. So I seen a lady with the hijab. I didn't care about the hijab because I've been seeing that, but the big long dress, I'm like, that's a first. That's the first time I seen somebody in Kroger wear that. And then I see all these YouTube pop-ups. I'm like, that's a new change in America. That I feel, no, it's okay in a mosque. It's okay in a mosque, but I feel if Muslims are okay wearing all this stuff in Muslim countries, that's another story. But here, and you want to increase it here and make everybody feel like this is it, no, I feel like something needs to be a change over here. I'm giving my honest opinion as a Muslim. This is new to me when I'm a Muslim, and that is something I've not seen. I'm about to be 39 in June, and I have not seen this type of stuff before. I've seen hijabs, I've seen people go to mosque, I've seen people pray, I've seen people read the Quran, but I've not seen people like constantly come in a black dress. And that is one my undivided attention, that when did we in America start doing that? I have not seen that. And I'll be honest. And her saying that, literally, you are a hypocrite. No, I've seen girls wear hijab. I've never seen them get insulted. But if you are going to beat someone up for not wearing a hijab, that is not your place. I don't support it. And Muslims, then to stop it, they're crying about it. No. The cause to your Islamophobia is yourself. If you are going to force people to wear a hijab, cry about it, that why are not wearing it, then the people are something called karma. You should know about that. The karma is going to return to you, and the non-Muslims are going to beat you up for wearing a hijab because you enforced it on them, and you living over there, their traditions, they're not going to like it. Okay, you can't wear that in our country either. The cause is yourself. If you leave the non-Muslims alone, keep your business to yourself, keep your tradition to yourself, then what is going to be the problem? What? When I see people go on streets, I think a content creator made this, where a lady broke the rules. She wasn't driving with the proper rules or whatever, and the police arrested her. I forgot what that video was. And she didn't know English. Dude, come here, take classes of English, at least learn the basics, but don't just come in here and say you have rights if you don't refuse to accept the culture. You're not going to accept the culture, then what rights are you talking about? That's just basic stuff, right? If they gave you rights to the mosque, pray, I've had that, my parents had that, they've been doing it all their life, rights to a mosque, okay, halal to eat, and you pay your taxes, you do jobs, and do what you're supposed to do accordingly to the American law. Yes, you get to celebrate, eat with your family. And some schools, I'll be honest, I am 38 years old. I remember I did this twice in my years. I did it in 6th grade and I did it in my senior year, where in Clear Lake High School, the teachers would be like, "Oh, no, we want you to wear something cultural." I'm like, no. What are you talking about? Because I didn't feel comfortable in school. I'm like, I can't just wear my cultural dress in school. I didn't feel right, like it would be the right thing to do, because, like I said, it's not really Islamic school. It's a public school. So the teacher's like, "No, I want you to wear something. It's Eid. It's fine to make you feel, but if you don't want to wear it, that's fine." So I just wore like a maxi and makeup and a little scarf on my neck to make it look like I'm blended in, but not super dressy. So these things, if people give it to you in respect, there's a difference. But you shouldn't be enforcing your own personal holidays. That I'm against. No, your personal holidays that the government has to make it a national Eid day for you. No, you celebrate with your family, you celebrate with your children. That should be more than enough for you. Like you go out, celebrate in a restaurant, eat, you take your friends out to eat in a nice traditional restaurant, whatever. But you don't need to make it a national holiday for everybody else. Just like when Muslims, when people celebrate Christmas, I enjoy Christmas. My cousin actually celebrates Christmas. I just enjoy the season. I may not do the main day, like the main day, but like the lights, I go out, drink coffee, listen to Christmas carols on the streets and take my coffee, enjoy the Christmas lights. That's a vibe in America. I like doing it versus the main actual day. If you, as a Muslim, you literally do not worship Christmas, then why the heck are you telling the government that it needs to not launch it like a national holiday? If the government wishes you, great. That means they respect you. If the government wishes you happy Eid Mubarak, that is Muslims Eid holiday, good for you. But that does not mean you have to make everybody into doing it into a national holiday for everybody to celebrate. No, that's redundant because it doesn't require to them. It only requires to you. This is where my flaw I disagree with.
You stop. Out of interest, why did you stop?
Well, look, for me personally, wearing a certain level of religious clothing has to be sincere, has to come from the heart, and you really need to know why you're doing it. And I think all of us are on a journey of life, aren't we? We're a journey, whether that's with God or whether that's just life in general. And I think things look different all the time. So it wasn't because I felt oppressed, or it was just for me, it wasn't working at the time for me. It's not something that I would ever say no to in the future, and I might come back to it. But honestly, I feel like the way we're going in Great Britain, what I don't want is to end up like France at the moment. I feel like we can be one of the better examples to the wider global community of what it can look like to coexist happily.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got here...
Well, in order to coexist, you need to respect the Christianity values, which would be like the celebration of Christmas, the celebration of their churches, which the extreme nationalists have destroyed this years ago compared to the monarchist. The monarchist, I would say Faisal was all right, Muhammad V was all right, the Moroccan king, the Shah was all right. There were churches back then. But after extreme nationalists took over, they destroyed synagogues, they destroyed churches, they killed like the Kurdish and other different ethnic Muslim according to the narrative, and the story continues. And don't get me wrong, my Arab friends, but why? Why do you need to do this? It's a waste of land. You're not going to gain anything doing it. Why don't you just build up the country, make it healthy, get schools, and get everybody come together and make country into a country? than to worry about all of this. Citizens are multiple different groups. That's my ethic. And after all these conflicts throughout time, and how Muslims, I feel they should support the Christian holiday, then people's views, they start to change. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to be respected, I was respected. Alhamdulillah, I was very respected because I would always enjoy. I would never hesitate on someone's holiday. I would respect them. If some people felt hesitated from Merry Christmas, I would say Happy Holidays, enjoy Christmas with your family and things like that. I would say that every day of my life. But respect their holidays too. Your holiday is only going to be accepted if you encourage other people to have their holidays. And as of experience, tell me who talked about that. Muhammad hijab? No. Daniel? No. Bushra? Hell no. So what makes you think they're going to support you here? It's common sense. And I told you what I agree and I absolutely disagree with. If somebody gave me my rights to go in a mosque, my family eats halal, and for me to do my prayers and everything else I do in my personal house, then I have nothing to complain about. I don't. They gave me enough rights. What more do I possibly need? What? Nothing. And if these people feel like everything needs to change, then you must be mistaken. No. And I told you the difference I've seen. I've seen people wear hijab, but what I have not seen as I've experienced being a Muslim here is that the black dressing, the abaya, that's somehow increasing into stores. And that is a little bit new to me. It's not that they're Muslim, it's because we have not seen too much of that here. Hijabs, yes, but this, no. And that's the only thing I feel people need to understand, because it's a fact. It was never increased here.
Labour MP Khalid Mahmood, Birmingham Perry Bar, it's an area, huge Muslim population, right? Says a certain proportion of Muslim women may wish to wear a hijab or a niqab or publicly demonstrate their Muslim identity, but the wearing of the hijab clearly does not represent all Muslim women, and it is grossly insensitive to those Muslim women in Iran and Afghanistan and Yemen and elsewhere who are compelled against their wishes to wear the hijab, to declare that it does. So how would you...
No, it doesn't. Let me tell you why it doesn't. Okay? I'm going to pause this video and we are going to see something. And it should be very, very interesting. Let me stop this and share my screen for something else. And we are going to do that. I'll tell you why. We're going to do a before and after story, which should be very interesting. And yeah, we're going to do it all. Who sent me a comment? Let me read the comments. And then I'm going to pull up something. Show hi, how you doing? Welcome. Yeah, I'm going to share something different today. So it should be very interesting. Okay, hold on. I'm going to pull it up and then I'm going to share my screen. So I've been honest to all my friends. No hypocrisy, nothing. I've been sincere from day one till now. I've seen what was there and where's the change coming from. Nothing to hide. And any Muslim who doesn't see it, then that is your clear mistake. That is your clear mistake. How do you not see it? Living in an atmosphere different. If you're part of that atmosphere, that's your first notable thing. You should note the atmosphere that you live in compared to saying that, oh, they hate Islam. No, it's because you're part of that atmosphere and the stuff is new. You should notice it's your stuff that's being new, like the clothing and things like that. Hijabs, I told straight up to all the people I have seen, but this new black dressing thing, it's new to me. That I have not seen in America. I'm not gonna lie, as a Muslim, I really haven't. That's increasing. That is a change. I'm not gonna lie to anyone. That's a change because that's mostly in places like Saudi Arabia, somewhat Qatar, and places like Yemen right now. Yes, that's where it is. But places like America, no. And especially 24/7, that is completely new. 24/7 was never an option here. That's a lie. So dressing for Yemen before extreme nationalist takeover. Let's see if they So this is, it seems like a Yemen, some Ethiopia look too, This is what people look like in Yemen before the nationalist takeover, and how people do not see these things. Let me add this to my screen. Okay, so here we go. Yemen dressing. Okay, see that? This is what Yemen looked like before the nationalist takeover. This is the true color of Yemen. Like this, like, see how it looks like a gypsy? This is the color for Yemen. Or this, some Ethiopian look too. Like, see how people look different? Now, before extremist nationalist takeover. Now people look very different. Females in Yemen. Dressing for Yemen for females. Before nationalist takeover. I'm like half dead. I can't wait till I go to sleep. But yeah, I'm like half dead. See, this is what Yemen women look like right here. So before, like, I don't know when the Houthis got, like, what year did they radicalized and whatever. I know Saddam, I know Qasem too, and the Ayatollahs, but Yemen I didn't really look into. So this was Yemen right here. This is what Yemen female looked like in the early years before the radical nationalist takeover. They had an identity of their own. Now Syria. Dressing for Syria. This is what Syrian women look like. So back in the days of Faisal, Prince Faisal, this is what the Syrian women wore. He's an Arab Muslim. Yeah, it was there, but it was okay for them to look like that. This is Syrian women culture and a little bit of Arab and Jewish culture, because that's all Middle East. To see what they look like. Now, places like Libya. Look, Libyan women. This is what they look like. Before, like, the nationalist takeover and how they made everybody turn into burqas, because, like I said, giving women freedom requires their money. And of course, your favorite place, Iran. Iran females before nationalist takeover. Like, of course, they're going to hide the pictures, but they did have an identity. Persian. This should explain enough, even though they terminated a lot of the photos. Something like this. Early days of Prince Reza Pahlavi. Women are allowed to be like that, look like that, before the extremist organizations, like, enforced them. And it's funny because here's that photo that everybody saw, that their own leaders, like, literally have their daughters married to billionaires and look and dress whatever they want in big suits, but the citizens look like that. That's just prison. How could you possibly tell me as a Muslim female that this seems like normal to you? It doesn't seem normal to me. I'm sorry. Like, you kidding me? And you got nothing to say, just to say religion is only going to be saved if you dispose the flaws that people are not seen to doing. So this is what people looked at like before these extremist nationalists took over. Now it's 2026 and some are manipulated in it. So it's depressing. It's sad how they tell people, like, oh, this is what it is. No, it is not what it is. Sorry, it's not. Your faith is your practice. Your culture comes from the country where you live in. Otherwise, why is there different type of Christians? Like, for example, South Asian Christians are not going to look like American Christians from the West. That's just one example. North Christians are not going to look like the South Christians. I'm sorry. It's that simple. So if people still don't understand, then you need to find a way to understand that your faith has nothing to do with culture. Your culture comes from where you live. Your faith is your practice. It's not your lifestyle. No, no, I'm sorry. Yes, the faith, like Judaism and Arab, they have a lot, like the diets and how you fast. Some Orthodox Jews wear their, like, hats every day. That's different. But that's not your daily routine of living. like how you feed your children, how you send your kids to school, who do you tell your kids to hang out with. That has nothing to do with it. That comes from the country where you live. Your culture comes from the country. And if you still don't understand it, how are you going to face the real world? I'm sorry. It's common sense. Your culture comes from the country, and people need to understand that. And if you're not comfortable with it, then the best question to ask a Muslim, well, then what are you doing here in this culture? You're living it too, and you seem to be complaining about your own being treated disrespectfully when you're living different versus them. You should be exposing that first. Like, hey, this is what you should be following, and this is what you should not be following, than to support the flaws. They're the newcomers. If you lived here, you need to teach them how to be here, not cry like babies, like, oh, gee, they're not getting right. I already told you. If you have rights to pray, rights to eat food, rights to open a business or pray in your house, that should be more than enough for you. More than enough. What more do you want? What? That you're crying like babies. That's something I'm never going to understand. Let me share this.
Concept, because from a Western man, right, a Christian man, I do find it bizarre that when women in a lot of those countries are given the opportunity to take the item of clothing off, they tend to, and then it does appear to be armed men who tell them to put it back on.
Yeah, look, the first thing is I don't think using Iran is a true representation of the, let's say, Muslim world. There are more than 30 to 50 Muslim countries that exist, and none of those countries enforce the hijab, and Iran does. Ultimately, this is look, Iran faces its own issues between the state and the clerics when it comes to what rules and policies that they're enforcing. But those women tend to have the extreme side of it, and they take it off. Why? Because they don't get the choice. I think it's important for global leaders to understand, even from a perspective of a woman, that it's important to have the choice in.
Hey, Persian females, please apologize if you're on my channel. Did you hear what she just says? If you know that is true, then why the heck do you go in Iran supporting the IRGC when you know they really do these things? I don't get it. I'm blank as hell. If you said it with your own mouth that they do those things and you still manage to support it, oh my God. Like, shoot me hard. Did she really just say that? If you did, if you know that they do those things, what the hell are you doing supporting it as a female?
What they should wear. At the end of the day, I don't want any government or any state even having the right to even undress women. So essentially...
But you support it! 2 years you've been walking in that crew supporting Iran. When you know this shit, you said it with your own mouth. You said it with your own mouth that you don't feel right with this, then why the hell are you supporting it? This is as a Muslim, anybody Christian listening to me, I wish I could help. I want to help. I'm trying to help. But these stupid things that they do, I as a Muslim, I will never understand. My lifetime question. If you know they do those things, what the hell are you doing on their side? You just said it. You're against it, but you still managed to support it? What logic is that? Like, somebody please educate me. Say something. What logic is that?
If someone's trying to ban the hijab, that's also the same as trying to enforce it.
So, just hypothetically now, I mean, this situation has actually happened. It's not that hypothetical. Where parents have said that their child's nursery school teacher, who was wearing the full burqa, full niqab, the kids couldn't necessarily understand what she was saying, and also maybe felt a little bit uneasy because they were young children and weren't used to it. Would that be Islamophobic, do you think, for a parent to go into that school and raise that as a concern?
Totally not. I feel like people have concerns and they're well within their rights to say that. But Patrick, let me tell you something now. It's the ignorant associations mostly that people have with the Islamic attire. Because I'm going to say this, when our teachers were wearing masks in school and our students and my kids could not understand what the teachers were saying because their mouths were covered, where were those policing individuals then? Now they want to say we can't understand Muslim women, look at what they're wearing. But when, COVID lockdowns happened, there were hundreds of teachers wearing masks. And you could not.
Let me tell you why. Let me help you why. If I have a burqa and I'm wearing a burqa and I'm going on streets, I'm dancing like a moron. I'm dancing like a moron. Hell to Jews, hell to whatever. I'm going to look like a psychopath. And whoever's watching me like that, do you honestly believe they're going to trust me with my uniform again? Hell nah. They're going to hate me for it. So if I'm going to go out like a retard, cover my face, hold like some weapon in my hand, and go, I feel like I come from a weirdo world if I ever did this, and say like, ooh, kill this person, yeah, hold up signs with my face covered and dancing like I'm from weirdo world. I want to kill this person, that person in the name of this. Do you think anybody would want to trust me in that uniform again, or anybody dressed in that uniform again? Hell yeah, they'd be scared of me. They hate me. They wouldn't want to see someone like that again. Review the mistakes. What has been done in the 2 years? Just like how I yelled at this idiot. Did you say anything to your own people when Jews got stabbed? Did you say anything when the churches got on fire? Because that would really save our reputation. You didn't say a single damn shit. You just sat there and moped about your own stuff. So obviously it is 2026. When people see shit like that, they have trust problems. That's what it is. Trust problem. No kidding.
Understand a single thing that they were saying in the classrooms, and that essentially, but nobody raised the contention then. So ultimately, this isn't about what they're wearing. This is about the association, the ignorant one linked to Islamic clothing.
Okay, Islamic clothing. Freeze. What is Islamic clothing, okay? If you live in a Qatar or UAE, basic stuff is abaya and the hijab. But that doesn't mean you cannot wear like a nice long sleeve maxi, nice sexual, like a nice dressing maxi. I wear maxis all the time, and whenever I go to Pakistan for a minor trip, sometimes when my husband tells me like, "Oh, could you go?" I'm like, "Fine, I'll go." And I wear maxis. I don't wear hijab. I just wear a maxi, and that's decent. There's nothing in Islamic says that you can't wear a maxi because it's like a nice, long, and pretty clothing, and it's nothing dirty about a maxi. So Islamic clothing, it just doesn't come from an abaya. As much as these preachers make females want to believe, true Islamic clothing. In fact, I'm going to see if I can find a sample of it compared to what these guys preach. It's 2026 now, and imagine how many teachings they are. So let's look it up, and I'm going to take this down for a minute and put myself back up while I'm looking it up. So what is true Islamic clothing? Like the steps of true Islamic clothing. True Islamic clothing. It's just it's a hijab and abaya. That's just the basic ones. It's not like you cannot wear other stuff. It's like, okay, here's some right here. I was just saying this not even a minute ago. Here it is. Okay, let me share the window. Share. I wonder if people can see it. Oh, I'm going to see if my screen, if you guys can see it, so that way I can share it. I wonder if you guys can see it. Yeah, there we go. I can see it on my screen. Okay, so this is the Islamic clothing. I put it up. Steps to true Islamic clothing. So look, there's a maxi like that. Abaya. I've seen many people buy dresses like that. It had a nice silverware on it on the chest, and very beautiful, and something like that. It was a nice dress. Shein actually sold dresses like this with nice silverware on the top and on your hands like that. Look, there it is. That. So true Islamic clothing, it's just supposed to be modesty with a scarf, but nothing related to a burqa. All this right here, if you can see my mouse, this is a man-made. Man-made, man-made. Basic hijab, chadar where you just like hide your hair. This is basic, or this picture right here that I'm going to click. The basic is this. See? Scarf, pretty dress. Scarf, pretty dress. Nothing related to the burqa. This is true, and it says a history, Islamic fashion. Islamic fashion. Right here. This. Now, this shit you're probably not going to see in places like Syria, Libya, maybe in Saudi Arabia and UAE, but not places like that. It says it right there. History of Islamic fashion. Right here. It doesn't say that you have to wear a burqa 24/7 or an abaya 24/7. It's on the country's interpretation and how they take away rights from people and never showed this stuff. I'm showing it to everybody what it's supposed to be because this is what I've seen in my childhood. This is what I've seen. My cousin dressed like that in Canada, even though I don't agree with some of her methods at this time, but she dresses like this right here. I'm showing it to everybody. This is Islamic dressing versus the black abaya and burqa wear that you see every day. If you see that everywhere, that is incorrect. I'm showing it in front of everyone. Traditional Islamic clothing. So you see how people, man-made laws, like I said, all this stuff right here, this is man-made. Right here, I'm going to click the picture. Burqa, man-made. Niqab, man-made. It is not in the Quran. These are man-made rules launched by countries. This is not in the Quran. It's a man-made rule. But the main one is the hijab in the chadar, but the main one is the hijab. Just like how all these photos are showing you. So it amazes me how people can easily lie and make their own rules. And of course, I'm saying it's new because I have not seen that. I showed you what I've seen on Google from childhood to now. That is what I've seen people dress like, not that black dress. And through my studies, trying to understand where did it come from, I said it. You can wear like an abaya in a mosque or an Islamic country, but the Islamic there is Islamic fashion. If you go to like Arab countries, you're gonna see stores with those type of clothing, and some of them are actually really pretty. I mean, hey, if you have the body for it, you wear it. It's really pretty stuff. It's not just black dress 24/7, but some countries made it feel like that abaya is your national uniform for Islam, when that is not true. She's incorrect, and she has no idea what the hell she is talking about versus what I just showed you on my screen. And last but not least, I'm going to complete her documentary, and then I'm probably going to end my stream. So it's amazing how people have made all these rules throughout time. And I'm telling you, half of it's not even true. No, it is not true. You can look up sources to prove it. You can put this country before and after story, the Islam has been there versus who changed it. And I told you, it was the military nationalists who launched these retarded rules. Otherwise, I can even show you Afghanistan's before clothing, before the Taliban took over, what they look like. But let's finish this and I'll conclude it with that. But yeah.
So sadly, we are out of time because I would love to keep going back and forth on this. But Bushra Sheikh, that political commentator, friend of the show, thank you very much. What do you make of that?
All right. That was the end of her show. So I want people to understand that never underestimate what you see. There's a truth behind the doors and what is supposed to be. As I promised, I'm going to show Afghanistan too. It's funny how throughout time people have made their man-made rules. Half of this stuff, like words from my sister-in-law, right, who lived in Saudi Arabia for a good couple of years before her husband died, that the fact is that the burqa thing, it is not in the Quran. She's the one who told me that. I had assumptions myself, but she told me, no, it is not. That's not in the Quran. It's a man-made rule by leaders. So when people say that, oh, what does leadership have to do with anything? It does, because half of those rules are not in the faith itself. You're preaching it. And you want to make sure it's the official rule of the religion when it's not. Before and after Afghanistan. Before Taliban. Females. Let me show you what Afghanistan looked like, the females. if they still have any pictures left. That's why I use AI sometimes, because the internet, guys, I can tell you one thing, it is changing. It is changing a lot. And you're not going to find a lot of the stuff that I'm showing you now. Internet is making its way in through a lot of changes. Culture, let's try with culture identity. Afghanistan's culture identity. Share screen. I'm going to type it in front of you guys. So like, it's really important to look into this thing for yourself. Then you will understand what is man-made. So let's try Afghanistan's culture clothing. Culture clothing before Taliban. So, see that? This is what the Afghanistan fashion was before the Taliban took over. See? These are Afghan women. All Afghanistan. These are all Afghan women. So like, there of course there's going to be Afghan Christians, Afghan Muslims, Afghan like Jews who are known as Pashtun. So like, there's going to be many type of people over here, and how they're supposed to look like, dress like, right here that I'm showing you on my screen. And let's do Iran fashion before 1979. Iran fashion. This is Iran fashion. 1979 jail, I like to call it. It is jail. This is what the Iranian women look like. Some of it. Iran before 1979. Some like that. So there's Iranian Jews, Iranian Muslims, Iranian Christians. Like, all these people had their way of life, right? Because it was a democracy. It wasn't like one person or one faith direction. It was a democracy, and this is what like some of the people look like in the early days of Iran. And then I showed you Afghanistan. It's like, look, this is what the Iranian Muslims would look like before, in the Pahlavi days, away from the Ayatollahs. Something like this. Iran clothes. Persian clothes. Persian dress. See this? All of it. So this was Iran's culture identity before 1979 Ayatollah regime. And Syrian dresses, Syrians. I showed you Syrians, I've showed you Afghanistan. And if you want to maybe some other time, but there's many countries like the Turks, last but not least the Turks. Turkey. Turkish fashion before national extremists took over. So the Turk evening dresses, Turkish. So there's Turkish Muslims, Turkish Christians, Turkish Jews. This is Turkish. Turkey fashion. So that is a lie. I hope people understand now that is a lie. Before national extremists took over, everybody had like a cultural identity. And that's what people started. And people practiced the Bible, people practiced the Torah, people practiced everything under a democracy until national extremists took over. So all this stuff, it is 2026, all this stuff, it is man-made throughout time. And it's funny, I am going to say this again, that guys, never underestimate what you see. Do some homework at home, because I can promise one thing to all my fans is that the internet is changing. Internet is launching new stuff. There are many people around the globe who wants to control the internet, because internet is the key to manipulating people. Internet is the key to revealing the truth. Internet is also the key to reveal untold history. It has a lot of stuff. Now everybody wants to control the internet. And I encourage people that then to debate on here, look a before and after story. Nobody's religion was perfect because there was many wars, many multiple. Jews told me that, Christians told me that, and Muslims who actually understand this, they agree with the same thing. That's not the problem. The problem is the education. Like, hey, when the monarchies, when they ruled the country, what was the lifestyle then compared to national extremists now? And the national extremists, rather it's from Nigeria, places like Libya and Syria is changing in 2026. Let's hope it's permanent. All these places are under national extremist organizations. Moroccan kicked them out years ago. Albania never had it. And Bosnia never had it. Some of the places didn't deal with the shit. They kicked it out years ago. But some places, they managed to come in and take power. And how did they change people's lifestyle? That's the stuff what people need to look at. Islam is a faith, but not like a permanent lifestyle, except for Arabs, because Arab country and the Jewish country who live under a democracy, they have their own terms. But the national extremists don't believe in a democracy. National military extremists, they believe in a caliphate. But some countries, like Moroccan has one. Moroccan, you're welcome to be a Jew there. You're welcome to be a Christian over there. You're welcome to be a Muslim over there without anybody to stop you, what you look like, dress like, everything. Faith is not supposed to be your lifestyle, living daily basis. That's a flaw. How these people are trying to make it look like. Islamic lifestyle. I just showed it to you what the clothes were. Do you see those? No, you don't. You don't see people dressed like that in the extremist organizations. They're stuck with a burqa or abaya 24/7. When the book does not say those things, it's a national law man-made by criminals who make people wear that. Or I just showed you what it's supposed to be, but you don't see that, do you? You see people in a black dress and hijab all day when there is such thing as Islamic fashion. But the criminals who rule the country, they do not want to give people fashion. Because I say this with ethical facts, the day that the citizens get along, there's no more child marriages, there's fashion, there's schools, all that stuff, it takes money. So if all the money goes into there, what are these organizations going to make? Because they need you guys to be their criminals and make you guys cut away from all their teachings. They won't have a purpose anymore. They won't have a business anymore, and they'll be out of ideas how to keep you in control for their money. It's common sense. So yes, all this shit throughout 2026, it's freaking man-made. I just showed it to you on the computer what it's supposed to be and what it's being presented like. And it's funny how she says those things, because half of the shit that she said, they're man-made rules, and she should not be supporting those. Disagree completely as a Muslim. So I hope everybody enjoyed. I have a lot of things coming up. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a next stream. I'm supposed to go to Miami, Florida. Many creators are going to be there. Some big conference for anti-Semitism. And then I have to go someplace in July. So I'm going to do my best to catch up with another stream. Otherwise, I'll open my stream from Florida and see you guys over there, whatever this big event thing is. But stay tuned, y'all. Take care. And I'm glad you enjoyed. And let's see what other stuff I find. I was thinking maybe in my next stream, if I don't find a decent Muslim to debate, I was thinking maybe I should show you the early stories of the monarchist and what happened to the monarchist being killed if I could find a suitable documentary. That depends on the source. If I'm not going to find a suitable one, you're not going to understand the plot. But stay tuned, you all. Take care. Till next time. Bye.